the raise your hand function, and I'll call on you. I'll get started here. Kenny, after a tough couple of weeks, the team seemingly bounced back 5 points in the past two games. What do you think these past couple of games say about the fight that the team has in them?
We want to be competitive in every game. I think that's been the message from the very beginning. So it shows that message seeps through from the staff to the players to the front office, that we want to be competitive in everything that we do, even the losses. I think the last two games, they're not necessarily a bounce back game. I think we found a way to get results where maybe the prior three games we could have done a little bit more, but we did enough to be competitive. So excited about this weekend.
Awesome. Next, we'll go to Christian Butayas from Dynamo Theory. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, how's it going, Kenny?
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you. Hey, so first question I wanted to ask was about, of course, the goalkeepers. I think they were, well, at least Pannenberg was very strong this past game. He played a really good game. So if you had some thoughts about that, and then also on the other side, the reason he was in, obviously, is because Xavier was representing his country, and he had a good tournament overall over there. So if you can just kind of say a couple of words about them too.
Oh, I'll talk about Andrew first. All the credit goes to him as a professional. He's a player that on a daily basis helps the first team. He's a player that maybe he goes out and takes half the reps, maybe he takes a quarter of the reps, maybe he doesn't take any reps. And he's constantly in my office asking if there's more that he can do. Is there a way that we can get the staff out to help him? Andrew's a player that a lot of times throughout the week isn't with us in any of the scouts. So what he does is he gets with Dan prior to the game and he goes through the entire scout. He understands what we've talked about throughout the week. And he was doing that while he wasn't playing. He was doing that while he was being passed over for other goalkeepers. What it shows is that professionalism, and it's something that these young players need to really understand. That professionalism is why he's performing right now. He didn't get upset. He didn't think, oh, woe is me. He kept grinding, and when his opportunity has come, he's won games for us. And I say that a lot. Like the goalkeepers, it's funny, if a guy up front misses, 2 or 3 chances and you win the game, nobody goes, oh, I can't believe he did that. But if a goalkeeper makes one mistake and we let one goal in that's savable, everybody that position, everybody looks at and goes, that's a big mistake. So I think a lot of credit goes to Andrew and his professionalism. My post-game talk after the game at San Jose was exactly what I just told you. I wanted to make sure the team understood how much we as a staff appreciate the professionalism from him week to week over the last 13 games. It's amazing how hard of a position that is to be in and still keep your mindset right. Xavier, obviously going to the 20s tournament and performing like he did is fantastic. It speaks volumes about the staff and what they have done to bring in the right goalkeepers. You have to look at what Jason and obviously the first team have done to bring in these guys. Xavier was a player that we watched play for Shattuck St. Mary's at an academy event, and he was so raw. We were like, man, we really like him, but there's something weird there. Like he's got some talent. What can we do? And we were able to get him in. And what Jason has been able to do from the first day we got him in to now, he deserves so much credit for that. So I'm just excited that every week there's a conversation on who's going to play in goal. That to me is what you want as a head coach. You want to have to actually look at your team and go, we've got some really, really tough decisions to make this week.
And before the match, whenever myself and Dustin were talking about, how you were planning to go against San Jose, one of the things that came up was, of course, they try to come out of the back, the short passes and everything like that. And you talked about how much you wanted to put the pressure up top and kind of force the errors. And that's exactly how the goal came, right? But how important is it? Well, obviously it's going to be very important, but how do you translate, the message that you have? Like, for example, because we saw Reigns a lot of times pushing the guys to move forward and to kind of go pressure with him. We saw Evans, to the point that he was cramping in the second half because all the running he did. And then he switched over to the number 9 role to, I don't know if to maybe get some airs or just to ease up on that. But how do you translate that message to them? Let them know about the plan going in and have them compete for the whole 90 minutes.
It's very easy as a player to run when you're attacking. It's like you have all the energy in the world. And again, I speak from my own experience. You're never tired when you're running to goal, ever. I think we always joke, the fastest a player ever runs on the field is after they score a goal and they're celebrating, because you just lose your mind and you go. So part of it's a great question, because today we were doing some video and I showed 4 clips from San Jose. All 4 clips were us pressing well, winning the ball in their half, and then transitioning to a chance. If you go back to the San Jose game, they're right at, I think it's probably right at the first minute of the game, right at 60 seconds. We win the ball high up the field off the press, and we end up keeping possession in their half. Brooklyn gets it. He gets pressed. He goes back to Talon. Talon goes to Mikhail. Mikhail enters. It goes to Jacob. Jacob clips the ball over to Papa, and then Papa crosses the ball to Kyle, who's free right on top of the 6. We don't score the goal. But that's a clip I show that within a minute and a half of the game, we should be up 1-0. And where does that come from? That comes from us pressing. And what is pressing? Pressing is running. And it's unselfish running. That's the hardest thing, right? Running with the ball is easy. But when guys get tired, and when you have a back 4 like we have, where they diffuse a ton of situations, you can kind of rely on that they've got it. What I tried to show to the boys today in those 4 clips was, when we press high, when we work for each other, when we do the dirty work, the gritty work, those chances, they end up coming to you. And then the last thing I'll say to that is, part of it to me is we have 2 choices. We can either press towards their goal and run that way, or we can let them build out, get into our half, and you have to run backward. If you have to run back and get back behind the ball, you're now further away from our goal. And that's going to be even more work to score a goal. So it's not easy. I don't care what level it is. It is really hard to get a team to buy into high pressing, because people, they look at it as running when it's not running. It's actually less running if you do it properly.
And then on the flip side of the coin, San Jose got their goal late in the game. And funny enough, or ironically, the commentators, they were talking about the art of closing out the game, closing out the match. And, I guess we could say that that's something that maybe, I don't know if it lagged, but obviously they were able to get, that goal at the end. But can you tell me a little bit about, just that phrase, the art of closing down a match like that when you're winning 1-0 and, it seems like you have it in the bag, but it slips away?
Yeah, being a commentator is a great job, right? Because I think it's easy to say, the art of closing the game out. To be fair, we should have been up 2-0. It's another game where the execution of that set piece, the explanation we got from the referees, God bless us, we're all human and we all do these things. In my opinion, we're up 2-0. If we go up 2-0, that game's pretty well sealed for us. I thought we did everything we can. I will say this, and there's a young player that we've been playing a lot. And if you watch the tape back, with a minute left in the game, we want numbers behind the ball. We didn't get numbers quick enough back behind the ball, and the goal was scored. That is a learning moment for that player. He's 16 years old. We talked about it. We watched it on video. I told him, and there's no, for me, there's no blame in it, because it's a learning moment. And any other time, maybe you do that 10 times, that ball is not played as perfectly as it is. The finish isn't as good as it is. All of these things can happen. But for me, I'm okay with those moments, because I trust and I know that player will not do that again. So the art of closing out a game is the experience of being up 1-0 on the road in the stadium and making sure you do everything you can to keep that clean sheet. Those experiences only happen when something like that happens. So to me, I'm glad it happens the way it did. And I'm glad we got the 2 points, because Obviously, looking back, I had to calm Dan down because he was really upset that we had scored 2 goals and maybe we didn't get it. No problem. The fact is that think about the momentum of that game. We go up 1-0, we go up 2-0, it doesn't count. We get to the 90th minute, 1-0, and we concede. Within 3 minutes, I'm in the huddle talking to the boys and trying to get them motivated. All right, we're going to win this game. And it's funny because I have to give Jason and Eric another bit of credit. The goalkeeping coaches never get credit. The only time goalkeeping coaches get looked at is when the goalkeeper makes a mistake. Promise you that. The preparation they put into penalties, and we've only been in 2 of them, every single game is insane. I looked at the team and I said, Andrew's going to save 2 of these. Now, I don't know that, but I have confidence in Andrew. And I said, make your decision. And then Talon and the leadership guys, they took over. They were like, guys, we got this. We're in this. We're going to win this. So what I really take from that game is you're up 1-0, you get a goal disallowed, you concede in the last minute, injury time is very little, you're in this penalty shootout, and you've got to switch your gears 2 or 3 times because there's a lot of time in there to feel sorry for yourself. But the boys, they did everything they needed to do to execute and get 2 points.
And then an easy one for the end. I know Kyle, he was wearing gloves and he was able to score. I know the last game he did also wear the gloves, but he didn't score. Maybe those are his lucky gloves. But a question for you: Do you have any routines that to you is like a lucky routine or something like that you do? Superstitions.
Yeah, you'll love this. So, I'm a big believer that when we win games, I don't change my clothes. I obviously dry clean them. Okay, let's be honest. I clean them, but I don't change what I wear. And we went on that 5-game run, right, where we weren't losing, and it was getting hotter and hotter. And I'd been wearing that sweater. And it's so funny because the boys know that. And I was walking out for the Tacoma game, and Marcelo looked at me and he was like, you know what, coach, I really like that outfit. We got to keep you in that outfit. And it was funny because, it's something where they know we win, I'm going to still wear the same thing. So those kind of things, we have all sorts of things. We sit in the same chairs, when we eat, we sit on the same chairs in the bus. It's not superstition. It's more or less like it's routine. And when we're in our routine, we can have the freedom to think more critically. So, you'll always see Dan with the iPad in front of him. We have the same books. I shout out notes for the sideline. Dan writes them in the same book. It just keeps that sense of clarity that we can critically think and help the guys.
Thank you, Kenny. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Great. Next, we'll go to Louis Roche. Go ahead, Louis.
Hey, Coach. Lou Rush from fansided.com. You were talking just a minute ago about the high press. Is that really the key in each game to you guys winning or losing, or is there something else?
It's funny. We have a bunch of defending principles, right? And we have phases of the game. Obviously, high pressing sometimes, I think when people think high press, they think higher up the field. But these teams are quality. So it's about putting pressure on the ball. But part of that is also when we do get broken, because mistakes happen and teams are good. That's just the nature of these leagues. A lot of it, too, is in those moments, how we recover back behind the ball unselfishly and reset the press, reset the opportunity to put pressure on the ball. But then when a team gets closer and we're maybe stuck into a low block, it's protecting the goal. And one thing that I am so proud of the team on is they have really rallied around protecting the goal. I can specifically look at 2 moments that stand out. The Portland game, when we were at Portland, there was a moment where we had, I think 4 blocks in a row where they shot it, we blocked it, it popped out, they shot it again, we blocked it, they had a cross, we blocked it, and then it bounced down and we blocked it again. The boys on the field celebrated that like they celebrate goals, where there's an energy to it. And I think that's a really key point. When we went to San Jose, there was a time where I think they had a corner, it popped out. When you see the camera angle to that and you see that there's Marcelo, there's Juan, there's Brooklyn, and then there's the back 4, and they're all standing up looking to block something, it's one of the most underrated statistics, I think, in the game is how well people block shots and crosses, because it sends a surge of energy to the team. And then when you have your goalkeeper that only has 2 or 3 actions a game, it gives them confidence. So those 2 or 3 actions, those are game-winning actions. They're not having to make 15, 20 actions. I think back to some of the performances that I've seen where people have said, oh, that's the best goalkeeping performance they've ever seen, and they've had to make 15 saves. That's a lot to ask from a goalkeeper. When they have to make 2 or 3, and those 2 or 3 are key moments, but the team has rallied around protecting the goal, that's really important. And so that's a big emphasis of ours. And then the defending transition. One thing we've really focused on this year is when we have the ball, counter prevention. So preventing any sort of counter movement. So it's almost organizing defensively when you have the ball, which I think if we can get players to do that in this league, it translates really, really well to the MLS.
And then Kyler came off of injury, and before that you had Papa and Jacob that were pretty good up top, but now can you talk about the impact that Kyler has had on that?
Yeah, he's a personality, right? He's a personality. His athleticism is very hard to deal with. He's got a lot of experience, and he's an unbelievable finisher. So one of the things that I appreciate the most right now from those guys is they compete with each other on a daily basis, right? There's a competition all the time about who's going to, because we don't always pair them on the same small-sided team or the same team when we're doing an exercise. So there's always internal competition about who's going to score the most goals, who's going to create the most chances. But the great thing is there's a bond that they have together that they want to support. Jacob's a prime example. Whatever position we put Jacob in, he wants to make players around him better, which you can't say enough about a player that has that mentality. And his, Kyle's leadership has helped Papa, it's helped Jacob, it's helped Talon. And now I'm starting to see we have key leaders throughout all of the lines. So really excited that he's been available.
And then with regard to Marcelo, he's talked about how his past experience with Charlotte and the experience of going overseas, and that has really developed him as a professional. And at his young age, is he almost more like a veteran for you guys in terms of helping some of the players like Brooklyn and those guys?
Yeah, it's a great league because experience is a weird thing. I think people equate experience to age, and that's the right way to look at it, because obviously as you get older, all of your experiences start to compound up and you can give advice. What I love about Marcelo, what I love about, even Xavier going to the national team camp. I'll even talk about Jason. Jason, our goalkeeper coach, is the U20 U.S. national team goalkeeper coach who just won the CONCACAF tournament. So all of these experiences, it makes people around them better. And Marcelo having the path that he's had is helpful for a Brooklyn. It's helpful for a Juan. It's helpful for a Dilo and a Diego. And then you look at Paulo Lima, who's played in the midfield as well. Paulo Lima took the college route. But Paulo Lima, his experience being in Portugal, being in an academy there, being in at Providence College where they're playing in the Big Ten and playing big schools all the time. Those are all the experiences where these guys, when they talk, they see the game the same way, but they also have different ways to help each other. So it's huge. And Brooklyn is in a perfect position right now because he has all of this around him when his experience level is probably the least. So he's almost on a fast track because he's getting all of this, this advice from guys who have been everywhere.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck against the Monarchs.
Thank you very much.
Next, we'll go to Dustin Richardson from Dynamo Theory. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hey, Kenny. I just had a quick question about the league. Came out this week, said they're implementing some new rules on substitutions, red cards. Just curious your thoughts on that. What you think about it? Yeah,
this is a great league because I remember being at the GA Cup, must have been 4.5 years ago, and VAR didn't exist. Right. So it might have even been longer. And they tested it at the GA Cup. And I remember our reaction to VAR when they said, oh, by the way, there's going to be a referee that can look back at these moments. I'll never forget that because we were like, oh, my gosh, what is this going to do to the game? and they tested it in an environment like that to see if it would work in the bigger leagues. I think whatever the league wants to do, we're going to adapt to. So the red card rule, I think, is probably the one that isn't taking priority because, hopefully we don't get anyone sent off, and we'll address that when we do, or if we do, knock on wood. But the injury rule will be interesting because obviously it's about time management. It's about gamesmanship. Excuse me. And it's going to really be something that will test not only the players, but our staff as well. Because at any given time, we may be down a man for 3 minutes. We may be up a man for 3 minutes. Brandy, our athletic trainer, who is fantastic, obviously she's dialed into, what it means to get a guy ready, to make sure that, if they do go down and she has to go on, what are they doing in those 3 minutes? Is this an opportunity, especially playing in Houston, where if a guy really does need treatment, can you spend those 3 minutes getting them nutrition and hydration? Because there's no opportunity to get them on any quicker. Speaking to the guys about it, obviously just letting them know that the gamesmanship of being up 1-0 with 2 minutes left in the game and then, getting kicked and maybe milking 30 seconds, that doesn't work anymore. So we are going to have to be really sharp about, injuries. If you're injured, let's get you the treatment. If maybe it was something, not to say, and I like to, everybody does it. I hate to say this, everybody does this. It's part of the game. It's about now being more efficient with how you manage games throughout the 90 minutes.
Thanks, Kenny.
Cool. I think we'll end it there. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for hopping on, y'all.